Hi. Matt had a lazy eye. And it was a really, really severe lazy eye. But I didn't even notice until someone pointed it out to me, because that's how good of a person I am. Remember that later. Remember that I was a good person. Matt and I were in a class together in college, and I hadn't even really given him much notice until I hurt my knee at the gym and had to use crutches. The rest of the class would scatter as we were dismissed, but he would ride the elevator with me and walk with me as I slowly crutched back home after class. I was a wounded bird, an easy and captive audience, and probably feeling a little sorry for myself. During this time on crutches, my long-distance boyfriend broke up with me. Thanks. By texting me. To tell me to check my email where there was a breakup email. Then my knee healed. As we were walking out of my first day of class crutchless, Matt asked, "So you can walk again?" "Yep." "Well, can you ice skate?" I'm not sure, but yeah, I guess I could." He asked me to go with him to his fraternity's ice skating date party. I thought that was really cute. I hadn't really fucked with the frats before, but I was game to see what all the fuss was about. I went home and told my roommates, one of whom which screamed, "Matt with the eye?" What? What about his eye? Are you serious? You've never noticed his eye? She cackled, over-exaggeratedly rolling her eyes around in her head, like a real garbage person. I hadn't noticed, because as I said before, I'm a really, really good person. Not a garbage person. I just wanted to remind you. So, for our ice skating date, I wore this gorgeous white wool pea coat, curled my long hair in the best sorority girl curls I could manage, and topped it all with a black wool beret that actually looked really cool and was way better than Monica Lewinsky's. It was really sweet, and we actually started hanging out. But remember when I told you that my long-distance boyfriend dumped me recently, via text, via email? Well, I had been in 2 long-term relationships that consumed the first 3.5 years of college, and now that I was finally single, I had a lot of catching up to do. The way I thought about it, I had just spent 3.5 years in the cocoon of commitment, and now that I had finally emerged as a butterfly, I didn't want to be caught and kept in a jar on a shelf. And that was a metaphor that I actually used that semester when telling guys I didn't want to really date them exclusively. God, I was a douche. At this time, I lived in a house with 7 other girls, 7 badass women. We all ate and studied at the dining room table in the middle of the house, and you couldn't really leave the house without walking past that table. And the poor men, and sometimes women, who spent the night with any of the 8 of us were subject to a barrage of prying questions and the attempts of the other 7 ladies to embarrass the busted roommate. Most people answered as few questions as possible in as few words as possible and ran out the door the first chance they got. Not Matt. He would sit and have coffee with my roommates and never let on that he was embarrassed or uncomfortable. And for that reason, all of them were on Team Matt. It was an exceptionally cold winter, and in January we had a full week of snow days, which means the whole university was on a week-long bender. Yep. Midway through that week, I was at my favorite bar where my roommates and I were regulars. The bouncers and bartenders knew who we were, and we had corner stools where we always sat. I was in rare form that night. just having bitten the nipple of one of my unsuspecting drinking buddies through his shirt when he wasn't looking. Because I was a regular, the bartender didn't want to kick me out, but he discreetly let my roommates know that I needed to go. No one wanted to go home early and walk home with my belligerently drunk ass, so they texted Matt to come get me. They knew he'd do it. He immediately responded that he was on his way. I almost drunkenly foiled their plan when I started making out with Marco, one of the many other men I had been dating that semester. Sexy, charming, Cuban-American Marco from Miami. No one was Team Marco. I was alone in my affections for him. But my roommates distracted me and sent Marco on a fool's errand across the bar as Matt swooped in and whisked me away. We walked down the silent, snowy streets to his house. I skipped and threw my gloves and hat and scarf in the snowbanks, and he followed behind, trying to pick them up. I yelled at strangers and stuck my tongue out or blew raspberries at them when they turned to look at me. Matt helped me navigate the spiral staircase covered in snow that led to his room. I then tried to climb the ladder to his lofted bed, but fell down and gave up and ended up sleeping on the floor on the rug instead. So, this rug. Matt's dad was the president of a large university, not the one we were attending. As such, he often entertained dignitaries who visited the university, and it was customary for them to exchange gifts. One dignitary brought a rug with a picture of Matt's dad's face on it. I'm sure his dad graciously accepted it and thanked him for the honor, but he said there was no fucking way he was putting a rug with his face on it in his house. Matt thought it was hilarious, however, and took it to college with him, where it now lay and on which now I laid. And that's how it came to be that I gave Matt a blowjob on his dad's face. But I digress. Wonderful Matt continued to be wonderful that night, just like my roommates knew he would. He cleaned up after I barfed, and then he took me to breakfast the next day. We hung out for another month or so, but it was starting to fizzle. He spent his spring break getting eye surgery, maybe the 7th or 8th of his life, to try to correct his lazy eye and terrible vision. I asked around for his parents' address where he would be recuperating and planned to send him a care package to cheer him up. But then I went on a spring break booze cruise. I never really got around to sending it. I never even checked in on him after the surgery. This is why I wanted you to remember that I'm a really good person. So, what have we learned here? 1, fake an injury, get crutches, and men will ask you out on adorable ice skating dates. 2, berets are making a comeback. 3, become a regular at a bar and you can bite people's nipples without consequence. And 4, find a lazy-eyed Matt with a heart of gold and hold on to him. All of those are great lessons, but I think we can agree that the most important lesson here is that the best present you could ever give someone is a rug with their face on it. Thank you.